Hello there.
Today we're going to be talking about a game that felt like it slipped through our fingers. Leeds dominated, created chances, hit the post very early on, and still fell 2-1 at home to Spurs. But before we get into that, Rocco, you always buy your train ticket nowadays, don't you?
Always ahead of schedule. And funnily enough, actually, that screwed me over this week because I bought a train ticket for the latest train I could possibly get away with, so that I could go watch Alessandro's football training in the morning before going to the game. And training was called off, but because I'd bought the ticket ahead of schedule, I had to still get that train and missed the first 2 minutes of the game.
Oh, that's sad.
But that's
But
not what you were getting at, was it?
that isn't what I was getting at. I mean, it's very nice, Rocco. But what I was going to say is, we know getting to away games can be really expensive, and you don't want that feeling that you've overpaid for your train. And that's why we're proud to be sponsored by Train Split, the best place to book your train tickets. Rocco, please tell them what they can get if you remember.
I remember very well. You get £10 off your rail card if you do it with the code Leeds10, and yeah, up to 33% discounts on your tickets with your rail card. I had a look this week actually to go to London. Me and Alessandro, £100 for the both of us, or £60 with a rail card.
Bloody hell,
Rail
that's good,
card,
isn't it?
£20 with your £10 off for that. So the maths makes sense.
Nice, good. And yeah, as you say, Leeds 10 to get £10 off your digital rail card. Go to trainsplit.com/Leeds. The link is in the podcast description and YouTube description if you're watching. And they have sold quite a lot on that code. So thanks everyone who's been going there and purchasing. I bought mine, saved a ton already. Well worth it. So anyone looking to save on the train fares, make sure you go there. Thanks ever so much to Train Split. Yeah, so we should probably get into it, shouldn't we? It was one of them where it's... Sorry, I'm just trying to turn off all that. There we go. Yeah, one of those where it was a tricky day at Ellen Road. Felt like we were in control for most of it. But yeah, Dara, what was your initial emotions of it watching from afar? Did you not hear any of that?
So I was having a bit of a panic attack because I went to mute my mic because I wanted to cough, and the whole mic just went black, and I was like, "Is it mute? Is it not mute? Can I cough?" And I was trying to hold it in for that entire train split thing, and I was like having a panic attack because I'm going to cough really loudly into people's ears. Yeah, back to train split for a moment. What a great service that is. And speaking of traveling to the game, a lot of Irish fans ended up stuck
Yeah, that's
because
a
of
good
the
point.
bloody storms. My brother ended up, like, he was supposed to be meeting his son Byron Cunningham. I'm sure people who listen to this know, but already moved to Leeds a few years ago, went to every game home and away for about 4 years. But he flew over from Australia, hadn't been over to a game in 2 years, and they obviously arranged to go to this game. And yeah, my brother couldn't get to it because his flight was cancelled on the Friday. I think it took off at like 5 in the morning, but he had to wait in the airport for like 20 hours or something. He was like, I can't do that, I'm too old for that. So sorry about that, Shay. And unfortunately couldn't get the points. So leaves that.
Yeah, it was well, getting there for us was all right, which I'm very grateful for. It was, the weather was absolutely dreadful. Did see the Spurs coach on the way there, gave him a nice little toot in the car. Not that made any difference. I like to think Thomas Frank was in the front reading a book on Marcelo Bielsa or something like that.
Was it an aggressive toot, or was it like a little supportive beep beep?
Not supportive. It's true. There's different sort of articulation of the horn, isn't there? Depending on how aggressive you're feeling. No, it was a good long beep. It was my brother-in-law who did it. So yeah.
Do you like to articulate your horn, Rocco?
You know what I mean. I was trying to work. What is the word? What is the word? It's syncopation, not articulation. There you go.
That's a big
Wow,
piece.
that's a good one.
Eat some of those apples, you Irish git.
Anyway, the football. It was.
I don't want to talk about the football.
Well, it was good. Did you not enjoy it?
I did
think
enjoy it.
It was better than going to watch them sort of stroll to a 2-0 against Plymouth in the Championship, wasn't it? It was great. Got the pulses pulsing, and we played really well. but it wasn't our day, was it?
I
Unfortunately,
can already tell this is going to be one of our worst episodes. Why are they always so much more difficult when we lose? I've already insulted the entire country of Ireland in one go, and most of our people here are Irish. So well done, brilliant.
You're all right. You're all right. You're practically one of us anyway. I tell you, lads, I'm getting a bit sick of the whole kind of we should have done more or should have gotten more. Like it's becoming a worrying trend. Not that I'm down and gloom about it because I did think we played really well actually, and I've seen kind of people slating some of the players online. I know there's keyboard warriors and all that stuff like. But like you can't slate many players from that game. Like if we'd have gotten a draw against a really good Spurs side, you just said it was deserved. So clearly we played very well. It's just 3 games now where I feel we've lost 2 of them that we should have drawn and drawn 1 that we should have won, that being Bournemouth. And it is a worrying trend because that's kind of how you get relegated. Unfortunately, is you don't get the little bit rub of the green, and you don't get what you deserve. Now, on the other hand, I will say that the way we're playing is certainly not a team that gets relegated. That's a team that can compete in the Premier League. So I'm kind of up in the air about it, but I am concerned about the worrying trend of deserving more than we're getting.
I think it's all right. I think because we're playing well. I think if we keep playing well, it's basically whether those results get on top of us and we get into a bit of a slump. But if we keep doing what we're doing, because it was like this in Bielsa's first season, we had a pretty sticky start. Like we went into the Newcastle home game in December, I think, and we'd lost to Palace 4-1, we'd lost to Leicester at home 4-1. Like people were worried. But we were playing well, and in the end the results came around. So I think we'll keep doing what we're doing.
I think that is the thing, isn't it? Is we are playing well, but if they do dry up, the pressure all of a sudden mounts. If you don't get any points, but there's a good chance to pick up some points in the next couple of games. But we'll come on to that anyway. But yeah, did you think there was a massive vacuum in talent versus Spurs? It didn't feel like it, did it? You obviously got some good players. Rocco, you picked out Bentancur, and we did a preview for Last Word on Spurs, another podcast. And he was picked out as one of yours because you've watched him a lot for Uruguay. I did see shades of him just mopping up really well in midfield for them, and their attacking players are very good. But I didn't feel like we were outclassed in any way, shape, or form. It just felt like a case of they took their chances, similar to how we were at Wolves that day. So yeah.
Yeah, I think, I mean, the midfield area was a place where I thought we could get on top of them, because Bentancur, he plays at a really slow pace. He's a great player, but he's quite languid in his appearance, and he's tidy, but he's a sort of player I thought we could get at. Didn't really happen that much, but I think their quality was going forward on the counter attack. They were so swift, weren't they? Yeah. Just like transition within seconds, and I was quite impressed with them. I saw the team sheet and I wasn't worried at all, really. I was overconfident, if anything. I thought, well, we could have these. But they were better than I thought they were going to be. But definitely not a golfing class, I don't think.
Yeah, no, I definitely was a bit worried when I saw the team sheet because I know a little bit about Tell from FIFA, to be quite honest. And he's a really good player at that. So I was curious to see what he was like in real life. And of course, he scored a goal. I thought they were a good side. Yeah, like you can clearly see they're a side in transition. I actually spoke to a couple of Spurs fans last night. A guy from London and his dad are playing a tennis club. And we were out for a few drinks last night. And they were saying like they're definitely a team in transition. They're defensively quite solid, but they haven't got their act together going forward. And whilst they look dangerous going forward and very good in the transition, they didn't create a lot of chances. So you can see where that's coming from as a fan opinion. But they clearly have some quality. I thought Kudus was very, very good. And Xavi Simons, until he tried that Rabona pass when the guy was wide open and he just done a normal pass, we were in big trouble. Until he did that, he was having a good game too and causing problems. And Tell's movement, like I'm not sure if you want to go to the goal right away, but his movement was very clever on that goal.
Yeah, I was just going to say, actually, give us some positive credit to Leeds, I suppose, before we get into it all. In that, we did start bright. We're putting them under pressure. Got a corner. Longstaff on corners is brilliant, by the way. We found someone there who can get past the first man, which is brilliant. And I did say before we even conceded the corner to Adam next to me, I said I would love Rodon to score against these. It'd be so good. You know, get two on the bounce at Ellen Road and then smashed one against the post, and he was so unlucky. But yeah, set pieces are looking positive. We've said that that's an area that we wanted to make the most of this season, and we do seem to be doing exactly that. Set piece coach, whether he's having an effect on it or whether it's just, you know, we've got a better quality set piece taker.
I tell you, it's funny though, isn't it? Like you get a set piece coaching, and then all we do is just basically lump it into the box.
Yeah,
like you know, it's just a floated delivery for us to go and attack. But the simple things are sometimes the best. Like I do wonder, you know, these flat deliveries, as dangerous as they can be, I don't know, are they overrated to say that you waste probably 40% or 90% if you lead of your corners? You know, just stick it in there for them to compete with. Yeah, I'm a fan of it.
Maybe you should become the coach, Rocco. Just stick it in the mixer. Go on.
Exactly.
Yeah, back to 1960s football. But to be fair, the flat delivery thing, like the whip ball thing, because I used to take a few dead balls in my day. I know James did as well from the old Creators Cup. But like it obviously makes it easier if it comes in properly, because all the pace is there and you don't have to generate so much. But you're right. I think sometimes if you have aerial prowess like we do in the likes of Rodon and Stroke and Dominic Calvert-Lewin, just loft it up there. But there's clearly some sort of connection between Longstaff and Rodon, because you see it. Like as soon as Longstaff goes over, now I don't think that was his cross, was it? Actually, it was. Yeah, it was. As soon as you see him going over, you see Rodon putting his hand up or whatever. You know, there's a communication between the two of them, and then he picks him out nearly every time. And he was just so unlucky. Because the goal was there, it was there to be had. He'll be really disappointed. Like when he goes home at night, he'll be kicking himself on that. Obviously we're not as fans because we recognise it's not centre backs' jobs to score goals, but as a pro player, he probably took that away 6 times out of 7 on a. I don't know why I've gone for 6 and 7 there, not sure. In training sessions, but yeah, he'll be really disappointed not to have scored that against his old club.
Should we get into the goal then? Their goal.
Go on, Dara.
You wanted to talk about it, Dara. You go.
Yeah. If you look at the goal, so Ampadu loses the ball out, loses it first. He lets it roll across his body, and then Longstaff does the same. He gets beaten to it by the next man, and straight away then I was panicking, because if you get past the two of them, which is very, very rare, and it was the first time it's happened all season, you know you're in trouble. The next thing I looked at then was Tell's movement. So Tell had been off Stroke's left shoulder. And I was wondering, why is he standing there? And if you look up, you've got Bogle, Rodon and Stroke in a line with Goodmanson pushed way forward. And maybe that was a tactical thing, like one fullback pushes forward. But Tell was obviously very clever to be like looking at where Goodmanson is and thinking, if this ball breaks, that's where the space is. You know, it's not down the channel per se, but it's on the inside channel, and you've got one-on-one against Stroke then. So as I said, Tell's position was really, really clever. You get past Ampadu and Longstaff, we're open up. And then, in fairness, no blame on Stroke, actually. I think, you know, he has to kind of back off because he's waiting for Longstaff to try and come back and double up. And then, obviously, Tell takes the shot on. And very unlucky for Stroke. You know, he nearly gets there with his foot. But I think it was a symptom of the wider game as well, where we did back off to a certain level and allow them to have shots and try to get blocks in. And I was watching that and I actually thought, and I was reluctant to say this because actually when I listened to Jerry Lynch's show after it, he said the exact same thing. I was thinking, well, I can't say it now, but it was the exact same thing I was thinking was, if you're going to do that, play Bial, because any of the highlights I've seen of Bial, that's his game. Like, he gets blocks in around the 18-yard box. If you go and look at his highlight package from Udinese last season, that his whole highlights package is that. It's not last-minute tackles. It's throwing himself in front of the ball. And if that's a legitimate tactic, then absolutely fine, go for that. But maybe it is time for Bial to get a chance if that's going to be the way we're going to play.
I was a bit disappointed. Go on. I just thought Stroke. I think the Longstaff thing did complicate things a little bit, but yeah, I wanted him to be tighter. I wanted him to be a bit more. I don't know. He was a bit too passive for me. And the same for the second goal. But yeah, don't know. Not crucifying him for it. I did wonder. What do you two think? Like, the deflection was very, very slight, and it obviously happened straight off the boot. You know, could Darla have done better? I don't know. Am I being harsh?
I've seen plenty of those inside training videos. You know, where they're like, kicking a ball at some bins or something and deflecting them off them, and like last minute, yeah, they've been training all week for those deflections. He should be on that, shouldn't he, Rocco? Should be like robotic arm. No, I think it's so difficult, isn't it? Ball coming at you with pace, and I think if it only happened to Strauch once yesterday, I don't think we'd be talking about swapping around. I think everyone would still be quite comfortable with him being in the squad. I understand why people are questioning it, because we have got Bamford there, but he's been so good. You know, we're not really conceding a lot of chances on the face of it. So are they doing the job? Is it just those scenarios where it's 1-on-1 and he's been a bit unlucky that, you know, we're getting caught undone? But I don't know. It's one of those, isn't it? Only time can really tell. So far, so good, really. He hasn't put a foot wrong up until yesterday.
Yeah, and the thing about Bamford as well, you know, as much as you can look at highlights and stuff like that, I mean, Farke's seen him in training every week. Like, for all we know, you know, he might be getting completely bossed by Calvert-Lewin, can't tackle Metcher, never wins a header, you know, misplacing passes. We just don't know, do we? I mean, having said, I'm about to say I'm just trusting Farke's judgment on training, but then again, he was playing Meslier ahead of Darlow for half a season, so maybe that's under scrutiny anyway. But yeah, it's so hard to say. And Strauch's doing well, so I'm happy to back the manager whatever he does in the next game.
Yeah, to be fair, I'm not having a go with Strauch, because I do think he's a good player. I just think, and it probably goes back to the thing of, why are we not getting what we deserve? And maybe it is fine margins. And actually, Meslier is a good example. You know, he seemed fine. You know, Kiko, a lot of people thought Kiko was fine. And fine is fine until you see something better and you go, okay, well, actually that is better. And maybe it's time to bring back in Perry, the 16 million quid goalkeeper we bought from Lille, who was playing Champions League football or whatever it was last season, and the Udinese centre half who we brought in for, you know, a good fee as well. And maybe it's those little fine margins that get us there. So I do think it's time to be a little bit ruthless, and I think BL looked quite good in pre-season. We bought him for a reason, and he's come in early. He's been well integrated. I do believe that had he not been banned for the Everton game, he would have started that, because, as I said, he did start with Rodon pretty much all in the pre-season. And Strauch has been there on merit, like absolutely been there on merit, other than the Arsenal game. Elements yesterday, he's been very, very good. But just because he's been good doesn't mean there couldn't be someone better, you know. And that's like, if you look at Longstaff, look how good he is, but Newcastle need better if they want to kick on and do stuff. So I'd be not looking to push Strauch aside by any means, but maybe it's time to use the investment that we've had. And on the Farke one, you know, I'm not a critic of Farke. I do genuinely like Farke. He was also very prepared to leave Joe Rothwell on the bench all of last season, and had there not been 2 injuries to Ampadu and Gruev, I don't think Rothwell was getting a look. Remember, we actually did a pod, and we said that this year Rothwell is going to be the unused man, and look how good he turned out to be, because he wasn't getting a look in until those injuries occurred. So, yeah, I think sometimes Farke just kind of has his favourites, doesn't he?
You say it's fine until you see something else, but does anyone think Brendan Aronson's fine? I don't see anyone or hear anyone in the ground warming up to him. And warming up would have been ideal yesterday, because it was pretty cold and windy. Rain was lashing it down. I don't know if you could tell much of that on TV, but it was really, really bad. But yeah, Brendan Aronson, I think, like we were saying last week, when you're in control of a game and you're winning, Brendan Aronson, fine. When you're chasing it and you're trying to get something creative and make a goal, that's when everyone sort of starts losing their heads for Brendan. But that being said, he had the shot that then rebounded out to Okafor, who passed it into the net. Nearly was it a Darren Bent moment with the the beach ball on the pitch?
I was going to research what the rules are, because I was worried that they were going to disallow it, but I didn't. But one thing that should be said, the whole reason for that goal is Calvert-Lewin. I mean, a fantastic touch, you know, brilliant touch into Aronson's path for him to get the shots away. That's top class centre forward play, that is. And yeah, another thing that should be said is that they scored from 2 deflections, but we scored from 1 as well. You know, keeper's got an easy save if it doesn't take a deflection. But yeah, Noah was there to knock it in, and I thought he was good, wasn't he? At least first hour. I started to get a bit annoyed with him towards the end, doing the same trick over and over. But he was pretty knackered. But I'm glad that he got the goal. He's got 2 now, which is very respectable, I'd say.
Yeah, a few bits to pick apart on that. I'll start with Aronson. I can't believe I'm defending Brendan Aronson here, lads. I thought he had a good game. And I also thought he was very unlucky because I'm sure we'll come on to Calvert-Lewin maybe after the goal. But that big chance he had where we won it back on the edge of their box and it fell to him, and he should have scored that, to be quite honest. But if he didn't want it to have a shot, Aronson was wide open. Go back and have a look at that. And if he just tips that over the defender's leg into the middle, Aronson's basically standing on his own with no man around him for like 10 yards. And he would have had all the time in the world to control it. And
that's what we worry about, though. we don't want him to have all the time in the world. We just want him to...
Yeah, but in fairness, DCL missed it anyway, as he's missing far too many chances for my liking at the moment.
What is interesting about that and taking the time in the world, and I'm gonna say something here, is that we talked about this when we first signed DCL, which was his standout season in the Premier League was under Ancelotti at Everton, and Ancelotti told him, hit the ball first time, don't think about it. And that's when he was scoring goals. Now, yesterday, I gave the same tip to my nephew on the way home, and he scored his first goal today on the first touch on his wrong foot. It's like, look at that. See, it does work. Yeah, I'm delighted for him. Well done, Riley.
James Ancelotti.
Yeah, there you go. I'll take that.
Yeah, he couldn't get out. He could have. It was again another. I don't know if I don't think it was a sitter, but just a bad effort. Really, he looked so unconfident. Like I didn't even get excited. He just didn't look like he was going to ever score that to me.
Tony DeRigo described it well, where he talked about it. His second touch just didn't take it far enough away from his foot, which I think is true. He just didn't give himself the space to swing it properly. Ideally, you'd want to sort of put your foot around it into the top corner, but he just didn't get enough room, did he?
Yeah, I think it was a sitter of an opportunity, but he turned it into a more difficult chance with that second touch. And that's why I was like, could he have done something different other than shooting? Because by the time he'd shot, there was 3 players closing him down, and it was actually difficult. Whereas that's why I looked and you just see Aronson just standing there in the middle of the box all on his own. I was just like, oh, if you just saw him. And that brings me back to his second chance, the one where it really good break. I think it was Stack to Okafor. Okafor plays it into Calvert-Lewin. Calvert-Lewin swivels on the ball. Second half takes a shot. Great save by the keeper. But again, he has his back to goal and he gets off a good shot. If you're going to do it, you got to score. He could have also laid it off to Stack. Watch where Stack is. Stack's standing right in front of him as he has his back to goal. All he has to do is lay that off to Stack. And I think Stack has the better chance. And then to criticise him again, the ball breaks from that. Keeper obviously saves it out to the left. Stack picks up the loose ball and puts in a brilliant cross right in front of you guys. And why isn't he just gambling on it being free at the back post? If that's, I hate to use this analogy because obviously this guy has scored thousands of goals, but Cristiano Ronaldo scores that goal every bloody week, where he's not trying to battle with the defenders. He's just like gambling that the ball will come at the back post and he just taps it in. So he should have really, like, the top strikers anticipate that. And I'm getting a bit fed up with DCL because he has everything to be an absolutely world-class striker. I've never seen a more aerially dominant, well, I have. His name was Lee Chapman. It was a long time ago. He is so aerially dominant. He puts himself about. He runs the channels well. I'd say he's a wonderful player to play with. So if you're a player, you just want to play with him, just get close to him, let him win all the knockdowns. His knockdowns are brilliant. He has to finish. Like, this is 5 big chances he's had in 2 games at Ellen Road, 3 at Bournemouth and 2 yesterday. And like, probably should have scored all 5 of them. A more lethal striker scores all 5 of them, and he's missed all 5 of them. So I'm like, come on, DCL. And if to be honest, if Bamford misses those chances, we are going mental. Like, you're absolutely going mental.
Well, I think I still like him. So my mate has predicted that I'm going to hate Calvert-Lewin by Christmas. But I'm still completely sticking up for him because, like, the touch for the second chance was so good. It's just a touch of absolute quality. The finish again, the shot, it was bad, and it was worse than it looked because actually it took a tiny nick off the defender. He was actually hitting it straight at the keeper, and he shouldn't. It was easy because he was sort of in line with the post when he touched it. He should know where he is. It's just a straight finish. Just kick it straight, and it's in the corner. The keeper is not getting anywhere near it. So it was a bad effort again. But the one just after, I mean, you did say gamble, and that's the thing. I watched it back, and I was furious at the game. I'm like, what are you doing? But I think you could see when watching it on telly, like he's hanging back because he thinks he's going to stand it up to the back post, and that's the decision he made, rather than chase it in for the tap in. He didn't know he was going to put in such a great ball, which is a bloody shame. But he's yes, probably costing us points by not taking chances, but at the same time, like creating the first goal, creating that chance for Pirou as well by winning that header. I'm still a big fan of his, but he needs to start scoring.
That touch on the turn that he then had the shot and the keeper, it deflected and the keeper got down and made an unbelievable save, really, as well. He's hitting his prime, like their goalkeeper as well. There's moments where I was disappointed and he probably could have done more, and equally he was a bit unlucky, and that's sometimes how it goes for strikers. The head down to Joel Pirou that you mentioned there, Rocco. How does he hang in the air like that? It's ridiculous. No one else was
same thing.
No one else was near him, because when the ball got pumped up, I was a bit annoyed at first because I thought, well, how is he going to get that? But he did. He just like sailed above everyone, and it was a great head down. Joel Pirou just couldn't get it out of his feet enough to get enough power on it, get a bit more power on it, and I think it sails past the keeper. But yeah, I'm with you. I think I'm not annoyed at DCL because you see in the games, especially when you're there, how much work he puts in, and it's really good quality work, and all the things that he's doing to bring other people into the game is amazing. But you're right. There's a point where if it doesn't start, Dari, you're right. If there's a point where it doesn't start happening, I think I'll be with you, Rocco, and I'll lose my head by Christmas.
It is a killer though, because he's so like some of the stuff he can do is absolutely world class. The way he hung in the air to win that ball and knock it down perfectly for Joel Pirou, who was very unlucky actually to not score that, because he actually had a great effort. That was a super save for the keeper.
Yeah,
you watch that back, he's in the air for like 2 seconds. It's like Michael Jordan-esque. Like it's
Larry
incredible.
Nance.
Yeah, it's Larry Nance Jr. Like, just incredible.
No, Larry Nance.
You got hang time, man. Hang time.
I can't stand the Bamford comparisons, and I guess it's because I have an opinion of Bamford that's probably maybe not as high as other people, but I just think he's a completely different level. Obviously similar in that he's missing chances, but I think people wanted a £30 million striker. I think Calvert-Lewin's a £30 million striker, to be honest. If he wasn't coming on a free, I'm sure he'd probably go for about 30 million, maybe a bit less, but I think that's what we've got in him.
I think Farke can eke more out of him. We've talked about this and improving him. He's Farke in the past has given a lot of bluster about how he gets the most out of strikers now, many of his strikers have won golden boots, etc., etc. And I think there is more out of him. But I do think back to who was the striker coach that we had, ex-Southampton player, James Beattie, wasn't it? When Chris Wood started firing at Leeds. Is that who we need? Do we get Beattie back?
Get Beattie in, yeah, great shot.
Beck's in. Jermaine Beckford, he knew how to finish.
Yeah, that's very true. But yeah, I think we'll definitely get more from him. Let's see. So yeah, I mean the tackles were flying in. Ampadu laid a late one, didn't he? But I think it was all sort of born of frustration more than anything, wasn't it? In the end.
Yeah, it was a little bit. Yeah, that's the thing. It was a good competitive game. I mean, the referee obviously did his best to antagonise everybody. Yeah, it's just so annoying. The keeper at the end when he punched clear a corner and got a free kick for that. I nearly had a heart attack. I was going mental.
Is it time for your rant section? Do I need to press the play button?
I don't think I've got it in myself to rant about a referee.
Okay. Well, tell me when you're ready, and I'll play it.
Dear.
What about you, Dara, for any sort of dodgy decisions? Because this is one of the things, after a game, I don't always watch a lot of it back when we've lost. So is there anything that sort of stood out for you on TV? Because you don't see it all in the ground as well.
Yeah, the funniest one for me was a fairly innocuous one, but it was Gabby Goodmanson going for the ball on the left hand side, and Bentancur just coming in behind him, and you just knew he's going to take him out here. You just knew, and of course he took him out, and it was I think that might have been a free kick actually in for Rodon. But why do footballers do that? Why do they do it when it's so clear you're going to go through the back of someone? Why do they keep doing it? Like Nonto was horrendous for it. Does it all the time. You see it coming a mile away, and then he just takes the bait, and someone does an ailing flop, and they get the free kick. But I thought the ref was poor. Yeah, the ref was really poor. I like the feistiness of the game. I like that grittiness. And credit to Spurs, they matched us for it. You even see the bit where Ampadu was taking the throw in, and he kind of turned around. He starts talking to some of the Spurs fans. They're telling him to F off, and he's laughing at them and stuff like that. That's class. I love a bit of that. A little bit of nasty Leeds. I love that. But yeah, no, I thought the ref was he was so inconsistent. First half, let everything go. Second half, let nothing go.
I've got a theory on that. I think we've heard before, like Mark Clattenburg talking about how like refs try and control games. And I think that ref was just trying to control the game. And I think we've spoke about this a little bit before, but he lets things go, and then he feels like, he needs to control the play. So he stops letting things go for a little bit. And then he feels like he needs to stop them, getting too many free kicks. So he, doesn't, it's just, I just think he's trying to manage the game all the time instead of just refereeing the bloody game.
Which is totally wrong.
That's why and everyone gets annoyed because, like we're annoyed that they started getting cheap free kicks, but we were still getting them as well. Like Ampadu did an ailing flop, like I say, and I don't think he was unfair on Leeds exactly. He was just terrible, annoying. And the refs have been good this season. I don't know if he's a normal Premier League ref. I know we've had him in the Championship a bit, but the refs so far, I've been really impressed. I've enjoyed not having to be angry at them, but that ended on Saturday.
Kudus for them caused us quite a few problems, didn't he? And I think there was some disappointment from him because he was left out of their Champions League match in the week. I only know this from reading places. I don't follow Spurs, but it was unlucky that it slapped sort of Goodmanson on his side, and then he fell over, didn't he? And then that's what put Strauch under a lot of pressure more than anything. It was kind of unexpected pressure where we should have just been mopping up and kicking the ball out there. But it was a good finish, deflected off Strauch. I feel for Goodmanson. He's had a few blunders the last few weeks. He'll be kicking himself, won't he? Not necessarily his fault. Yes, no.
Yes, he'll be kicking himself. He will. I think he tried to foul him as well. He sort of went for the rugby tackle as he fell to the floor. Again, a bit like the own goal, really. Like, yes, it's unfortunate, but probably, he got himself into a real muddle. He did something wrong, let's say, but it's been great.
What about the celebration then? Because the celebration was right against the south stand.
This is where you have to cue my rant.
Right, here we go.
You talk first, though. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt you.
No, I'm going to get this.
You know what really annoys me?
So that guy, right? He can run over right up to the south stand and celebrate completely in front of them, like antagonising them as much as he can. And it's not a yellow card. You're allowed to do that. But if he takes his shirt off, that offends nobody, it bothers nobody, no problem. Chelsea manager gets sent off for running down the touchline. Who gives a crap? Nobody cares. Like, what? It's almost like you would want to see that. Why don't you want to see that? But he gets sent off for running down the touchline to celebrate a last-minute goal, and yet the players are allowed to come to Elland Road and antagonise us. And look what happened. He gets something chucked at his head, and it could have been a really serious injury, serious incident, shall we say? And closure of part of the stadium or something. Anything could happen at that point. So. I just think it's absolutely disgusting, especially when they've got their fans right there. Go and celebrate with your fans. And the fact is, as well, he's just posing for a picture. And also, how long did their celebrations last? Like, it's as if in the Premier League, you're allowed to celebrate for 2 minutes. Like the first goal, he hugged they went through every player of the team, hugging the guy individually before they all went back to the centre circle. Infuriating.
Rocco, you've got to celebrate moments, as a great man once said.
I'm all for that. I just don't want the antagonism of our poor, angry supporters.
He didn't say over celebrate moments. There's a
It is
fine
a bit of
line.
a weird one for like Mohamed Kudus, like to do that to the Leeds fans. You're like, who even are you? You know, we've no beef with you. Like if
Yeah.
it was a scum player or something, you'd understand it. But yeah, it was a bit of a weird one, really, wasn't it?
I find it's a modern football thing. Maybe it's me being an old man shouting at clouds type thing. But I'm with you, Rocco, on the like. Why don't you just go over to your fans and celebrate with them? They've all paid hundreds of pounds to come and watch you from London, and then yeah, here you are just trying to go with a bunch of Leeds fans. It's like, come on, you're making this all about yourself.
Yeah.
Is the main thing. But yeah, anyway, let's move on from that. Anything else to pluck out from the game apart from sadness and disappointment? And now we're going to go down. Dara's got some stuff.
Yeah, can we talk about Noah Okafor for a minute? I thought he was really good for that first hour. Really, really good. And I think we saw an aspect of his game that I didn't know existed, and it made me very excited. Did you see the one where he was about 5 to 10 yards behind the player and he kicked it 20 yards ahead of him and then outpaced him to the ball? Like that was Thierry Henry, Dan James speed-esque. Like that was fantastic. I didn't know he had that in the locker. So if you add that to his dribbling, I think we've actually got a really good player on our hands there. Like I think he's gonna add a lot this season. Obviously, he's already our top scorer with 2. He's only trailing Erling Haaland for the season by 10, which is kind of phenomenal. Like Haaland has 12 goals already. Like literally, like
Kane's
incredible.
got 20. I think Kane's got 21.
Did you see? Did anyone see the goal Kane scored the
Yeah.
other day?
Yeah, it's magnificent.
Ridiculous.
How do you kick a ball like that? Like it started 2 yards outside the post, and he curled it in. It was incredible. But back to Okafor. Yeah, I just think he's going to be a really good player. I think he's built like a tank. I think he's got a bit of swagger about him. He's a bit greedy, which I don't mind in a winger, particularly one that's got to kind of open things up for us. He started to add the working back into his game. I think Farke will manage him quite well. I like what I see. I really like what I see, and even there being there to poach a few goals too. I actually wouldn't have minded seeing him in the 10 role for a little while yesterday. I think that would have been interesting. So, yeah, I thought he was really good. What do you guys think?
I think I like him. I'm not completely sold. I'm still. I think he's maybe still closer to Costa than Rafinha, but I think he'll be good somewhere in the middle and hopefully the higher end. I don't know. I'm just looking for the end product. Obviously, he's got 2 goals, but he's I don't know. I'm still undecided. Similar with Stack, to be fair, as well. I'm not completely convinced by him yet either.
Yeah, I'm undecided, but not in a way where I think it's okay to judge him yet, because I think there's still more to come from him. I don't think he's fully fit yet. You know, his match fitness he's been trying to get for some time. Well, I say fully fit, but fully game ready. I don't think he's played enough football, and I think he's getting back into it. And every time I see him with a burst of pace like that, Dara, I just think, oh, please don't let anything snap. So yeah,
just watching him.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think there's more to come from Okafor. I think he's been great, and I think it's a good point you mentioned there on Stack, Rocco. Last couple of games have just been a bit not really sure what his role is. You know, it's so clear from a lot of players, but and maybe that's me and my naivety of it, but and maybe there's a few too similar players in there that's causing that. But I'm just not sure. He's not done anything bad, but I just think, what is it? How is it going to work for us? And I think there's still more to come there. I think he's obviously a great player.
I still think he's a good signing. I'm happy with him, but I think he's just been a bit inconsistent, which is again probably normal for quite not an old guy, is he? And he's come to a new country and a new league. It's going to take a bit of time to get used to it week by week, isn't it?
Well, you've just helped to streamline the pod by bringing Stack into the conversation, because my one more thing was going to be on Stack and Okafor, to make the point that we all seem a bit really surprised when the likes of Stack isn't having a great game the way he had at Everton and in Dublin. And I think you got to remember, he is a 17 million quid central midfielder. He's really good. He's clearly worth a lot more than that. But he's not a 60 million quid midfielder who's going to do it every single game. And it's going to take him time to progress. And it's the same with Okafor. Like, let's take it back to Crescencio Somerville. We sold him for 25 million quid. And he did nothing in his first season at West Ham. And we bought Okafor for 17. So if you take it in terms of expenditure being a measure of your quality, then we haven't even replaced Somerville with equal quality yet. And I watched him on the weekend. I thought he was brilliant actually on Friday night. He was a young man of the match. I was going to text you guys and say how good he was playing. He was really good. But not everyone could be a Sean Longstaff. And I see we have a Geordie in the chat there, and I'm hoping it's Sean himself or at least one of his family. Sean Longstaff has obviously very quickly become my new favourite player. Absolutely love the guy. But he's been in the Premier League for a long, long time, and we have absolutely had Newcastle's pants down with that 12 million valuation. But that kind of takes a bit of the pressure off, because if he has a slightly off game, you go, well, he was only 12 million quid. Whereas I think with Stack, because he's just that little bit more expensive, you're thinking more of it. But I think let's just remember that he's not the finished article, and neither is Okafor. If they were, they'd be 50, 60 million quid players. But they're certainly worth far more than we've paid for them. I actually thought Stack was all right yesterday. If you go back and look at the highlights, he was involved in all the important stuff. Like, it was him who won that ball on the edge of the box for the down the Calvert-Lewin chance. It was him who started the move for the second Calvert-Lewin chance. So even for a game where he has a quiet enough game, and he is playing in a slightly different role to what he would have played in Germany. In Germany, he was very much the holding midfielder. Even he's adjusting to that. I still think he's a really good player. But saying that, I do believe in kind of rotating the squad, and I wouldn't mind seeing Tanaka get a chance to stake a claim as well and keep that competition running. But he's never going to come in for Longstaff or Ampadu, because they're absolutely firing at the moment, and they're clearly working so well as a team.
I suppose it depends what we're trying to do in the team in the moment as well. Whereas Stack and Longstaff are obviously firming things up and building from a defensive position. Tanaka comes in where we're then probably trying to progress up the pitch quicker. He's the sort of player that's very quick on the turn, isn't he? And that sort of segues into us making all the changes and sort of going for the finish really, and switching to a 3-5-2. I think it was 3-5-1 something. There was a lot of people in the middle of the park pushing forward, is how I interpreted it. So I mean, it doesn't always feel like that's always going to work. I think it worked at Norwich away that one time with Farco, and we pumped as many forwards on, and it feels a bit sort of hit and hope. But hey ho,
we were unlucky.
I'll be honest, I hate it.
But we didn't have much other. I mean, what choice did he really have? We had no wingers. He was completely bound by what he had on the bench, and Bogle was completely blowing. So was Okafor as well. So the two players that you've got that give you width in the whole squad pretty much, they had to come off, and all we had was Harrison. And this is what gives me confidence. I mean, look at what we're talking about tonight. Like, we've already talked about Perry, Biol, Tanaka, there's James, Gnonto, all these players to come back in. Like, that's not what a relegation team has. Like, these are all players that are starters, and we're holding our own as we are, and not just competing and losing. We're competing and playing very, very well, playing some lovely football, cutting teams apart, steaming down both wings, looking like a good side. And there's a lot of players still to come in that could improve us and should, and we would hope that they would improve us. So yeah, I think it's good. I'm happy.
I think that probably answers Oliver's question there, Rocco. Overall, are you lads happy, comfortable with the start we've made? And I think that answers that. But Dara, sorry, I cut you off then. You go for it.
Yeah, I can't remember what I was going to say now.
Are you happy with the start? Let's go with that.
Let's go back to that. Yeah, let's go back to that. I am. I'm very happy with the start. I mean, we look like a Premier League team. The fact is, when Spurs rolled up at our last Premier League match before we were relegated, we knew we were taking an absolute pounding. This time we're like, we can beat these. Like, almost anyone coming up to Elland Road, bar I think the biggest three, Arsenal, Liverpool and Man City, we're going to fancy our chances. And that's got to be credit to Farka, because let's roll it back a few weeks ago and nobody was overly ecstatic with the transfer window. Like, we said on this pod, we were happy enough with it. We felt they'd done a good job, but there perhaps was a couple of pieces missing. And that was certainly my perspective anyway. And yet with that, he's managed to make us I think we look like an established Premier League team. So I'm very, very happy with the start of the season. I think we've been doing really well. And we should have more points on the board. I think we should have 12 points. We obviously only have 8, which has got to sway back in our favour. But yeah, I'm really happy with the start of the season. I feel confident nearly every match that we have the battling qualities to control the midfield, to be defensively solid, which gives you a chance to win every single game of football.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. And before we sort of go on to the next game's man of the match, who we're picking?
It's a tough one, that. I don't know. Okafor?
I'm going to go with Rodon. I thought he was brilliant. And I thought his turn of pace actually got us out of trouble again a couple of times.
Yeah.
I thought he was immense. Again, in that quiet kind of way. But there was one where someone looked like they were getting through. And if it had been about against Stroke or any other defender, I think they would have got through. But Rodon just got there just ahead of them and ushered the ball away. And I thought, he's a class act.
Yeah, I think I'd go with Rodon as well. I mean, he is just so good, isn't he? We're taking, like you said, Rocco, that we're taking a lot for granted with this team. There's some really good players in there, and you always want more. This is like the point you mentioned, Dar, about Newcastle want more. That's why they sold Longstaff, and there's an element of us, crying out to progress all the time. But we've got to be grateful for what we have in here, and Rodon is definitely one of them. A really cheap, amazing signing that we've got there, and an absolute rock at the back. About you, Rocco, who are you going for?
100% Rodon. I can't believe I mentioned Okafor. It was definitely Rodon. 100%. He was brilliant. Yeah.
See, I forgot you even said Okafor because I thought there's no way he thinks Okafor.
It was a question. It wasn't my opinion.
Yeah. I think. So some really important games coming up. We've got international break, which we're going to have a podcast with Johnny Cooper's hopefully coming on. We're going to be catching up with Isaac as well, hopefully during the Isaac Johnson from Leeds Live during the international break. So we're going to keep going because otherwise we'll go mental without without football being on. But yeah, it's Burnley away on the 18th, and then 24th on the Friday night it's West Ham at home. 2 massive games, like ridiculously big. Mark's in the comments saying if we lose to Burnley, it might be time once again for him to get his spreadsheet out. I presume he's got a spreadsheet just looking at all the the variations of results and whether we'll survive. But yeah, it's very much copium. But yeah, Burnley away, big game. They're on 4 points at the minute. But that gap quickly closes, doesn't it? I mean, we can quickly close the gap to teams above us as well, so it goes both ways. But yeah.
Yeah, quickly extends. If we have to go there and try and win. Yeah, I don't want to see us shutting up shop like last season, and I don't think we will. I think we'll go and we'll play our game. I think that last season it was circumstantial why that match was like it was. I think there's no doubt that we'll just go there and play our football. We believe we're the better team. We are the better team, and we've just got to go there and show it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think 2 big games. Every game in the Premier League is big, isn't it? Because every opportunity to get 3 points brings you closer to that safety level. But it's 2 big opportunities, I think, is what it is. You look at those 2 games and you say that's a chance for 6 points. Now, whether or not we come out with 6 points, as Don Revie once said, about going. What was it? He said challenge the players to go the whole season unbeaten. Someone said, "Do you think that's possible, boss?" He said, "It's possible today." Or it's possible now. If it's still possible at 5 o'clock, that's up to you. But it's still possible right now. So 6 points is possible right now. Whether or not it's still possible after the West Ham match, that's up to the lads.
That signifies a what's his name? Jaden Anthony special against us at Burnley. He's been flying, hasn't he? Annoyingly scoring goals for them. But yeah, I can't say it enough. It's a huge game. I know it's, you sort of think of the archetypal huge games as the ones that are at the end of the season when they really count, but this is where we need to be picking up the points. So it's absolutely massive. And obviously West Ham are having a tricky time at the minute as well. Nuno Santos is obviously managing now, and I think he'll probably turn them around, but yeah, huge game at Ellen Road, and we'll just see how we fare. Dar, have you got a one more thing, or is that you done?
Oh, I do. I've got one more.
Oh, hang on. Let me play it. Here we go.
there's just one more thing.
It's so cheesy. I love it. Right. So, but one more thing for this week, and I'm emphasizing the thing instead of thing, which is
It's
what I
ting.
normally say, is cataclysmically, bets odds against this were probably 1,000,000 to 1, right? But we are now 7 games into the season, and Rocco has not ranted about VAR once. VAR has
that'll
been
change.
actually okay.
Yeah.
7 games is a good sample size, and VAR has not done us yet. Cue Burdley as Jesus is now like, oh my god.
No,
Yeah.
I think you said it early enough. You know, we've got the eye break for, you know, the football gods to forget what you said. Touch wood.
But it's amazing, isn't it?
It is amazing, and yeah, there's hardly been any interference. I think there's just like like little things like checking the goal last week.
Pascal's.
I complained about that, didn't I? The Bournemouth, but
Yeah.
but certainly not a rant. Yeah, okay so far, not bad, and they correctly gave us the penalty against Everton, or didn't overturn it. So yeah, can't complain too much at the moment.
Yeah, that's good. Well, yeah, everyone enjoy the break from the football. As I say, we'll be back during the international break or the eye break, and then it'll be quickly back into football again, and then soon it'll be Christmas. Crying out loud. Yeah, I know, it's terrifying, isn't it? But yeah, I hope everyone has a great week, and